Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, Text 20. Yo vidyayānupahatōpi dashartha vritya nidramuvaha jathari kritaloka yatra antarjalehi kashipu sparshanunu nukulam bhimormimalini janasya sukham vivrvan yo vidyayānupahatōpi dashartha vritya nidramuvacha jatharthi kritaloka yatra antarjalehi kashipu sparshanukula kulam bhimormimalini janasya sukham vivrinvan. Synonyms. Yaha, one, avidyaya, influenced by nescience, anubhata, without being affected, api, in spite of, darsha artha, five, vritya, interaction, nidram, sleep, uvacha, accepted, jatari, within the abdomen, krita, doing so, lokayatra, maintenance of the different entities, anta jale, within the water of devastation, ahikashipu, on the snake bed, sparsha anukulam, happy for the touch, bhima urmi, violent waves, malini, chain of, janasya, of the intelligent person, sukham, happiness, vivrinvan, showing. Translation of Prabhupada by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My Lord, you accept the pleasure of sleeping in the water of devastation, where there are violent waves, and you enjoy pleasure on the bed of snakes, showing the happiness of your sleep to intelligent persons. At that time, all the universal planets are stationed within your abdomen. Once again, my Lord, you accept the pleasure of sleeping in the water of devastation, where there are violent waves, and you enjoy pleasure on the bed of snakes, showing the happiness of your sleep to intelligent persons. At that time, all the universal planets are stationed within your abdomen. Purport. Persons who cannot think of anything beyond the limit of their own power are like frogs in a well, who cannot imagine the length and breadth of the great Pacific Ocean. Such people take it as legendary when they hear that the Supreme Lord is lying on his bed within the great ocean of the universe. They are surprised that one can lie down within water and sleep very happily. But a little intelligence can mitigate this foolish astonishment. There are many living entities within the bed of the ocean who also enjoy the material bodily activities of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. If such insignificant living entities can enjoy life within the water, why can't the Supreme Lord, who is all-powerful, sleep on the cool body of a serpent and enjoy in the turmoil of violent ocean waves? The distinction of the Lord is that his activities are all transcendental, and he is able to do anything and everything without being deterred by limitations of space and time. He can enjoy his transcendental happiness regardless of material conditions. Om Jnanam Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadahmayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam, Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha, Shri Rupam Sagrajatam, Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam, Sadvaitam Savadutam, Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shri Radha Krishna Padan, Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitansha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu, Deenabandho Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vrishabhanu Sute Devi, Pranamami Hari Priye. वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. My Lord, you accept the pleasure of sleeping in the water of devastation, where there are violent waves, and you enjoy pleasure on the bed of snakes, showing the happiness of your sleep to intelligent persons. At that time, all the universal planets are stationed within your abdomen. So, this is actually a very wonderful, amazing verse. Um, it's describing a section of the Bhagavatam, or you could say a description that is very illuminating, very wonderful, and can be understood in many different ways. So, the first thing that we can sort of reflect on is how this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. Right? Whatever is in the material world is reflection. It's present in some form or the other, in its original form in the spiritual world, or in the spiritual, you could say, nature. This material world is a contorted, limited, dissatisfying reflection. And so therefore, it's not a good reflection, but it's a reflection, and it's an upside down reflection. Right? So in this world, each one of us, every person except for the Goswamis and great souls, we sleep every day, every night. In every 24 hours, we sleep. Sleep is such a big part of our existence. People who can't sleep properly, they get so much, difficulties in life. Sleep is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, right? One of the four primary activities of all existence in the material world. Even plants sleep at night. That's why they say you shouldn't, water a plant at night. Animals sleep, humans sleep, demigods sleep. Everyone sleeps. So this nature, this tendency to sleep must be coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It must be coming from the source. Krishna must also like to lie down and sleep. But when the sleep, it takes place in this material world, then that sleep becomes the snake of time, right? It swallows us. The snake of time swallows us. That sleep is primarily present in tamogun, in the mode of ignorance. So that sleep becomes a limiting factor in our advancement in spiritual life. So if we sleep less, we can advance more. If we sleep more, then we can generally advance less because of less time that we have to practice Krishna consciousness. So it's very interesting, you could say, the analogies or the metaphors that are in the Lord lying down for sleep. So the Lord actually also lies down yoga nidra. It said yoga nidra, not just any nidra, but his lying down and sleeping is yoga nidra. It is divine sleep. But the symptoms, or you could say the kind of the metaphors are very relevant to us. For example, here is being described how the Lord lies down to sleep on the bed of snakes, Sheshanag, right? So, there's so many things to lie down on, but he's lying down on the bed of snakes. And for the Lord, this bed of snakes is a seat. It's very comfortable, it's very soft, and it's just like the perfect bed. But for us, this could be an instruction that when we are sleeping in our bed, then we're sleeping in the lap of the snake of time. Time is very often compared to a snake in the Bhagavatam. When we are sleeping, then we are, we're losing this valuable life. And actually, the devotee, as they advance, they try to reduce their sleep more and more, because that way we don't have to stay in that kind of in that lack of external consciousness. Of course, some of us may be dreaming of Krishna. I don't particularly, but some devotees do, so then that's very nice. But generally speaking, the sleeping is just a waste of time. It's needed, but it's still a waste if we sleep too much. Therefore, Krishna is showing, that when he's lying down, it's like on this divine snake. I was thinking of one more thing. It just slipped my mind regarding this. Yes, the Vedanta Sutra. The Vedanta Sutra describes that there's 4 states of consciousness. There's the waking state, which is the state that we're used to. Then there's a state of deep sleep, which is a state where we are existing. We are there, but we're not conscious of our existence. It's a very interesting state, because it's like we're existing, but there's no awareness. There's no self-awareness. Though there is awareness, if someone pokes us, then we wake up. But there's no awareness of our own existence. And this is what the Buddhists, they call to be nirvana. This is like deep sleep is an experience, first-hand experience of what nirvana is like. Because they don't believe that their nirvana is nihilism. It's not that there's really nothing, but there's no individuality. In deep sleep, there's no individuality. It's just being, right? It's just being. So it's not really possible to explain nirvana by words. So they explain it by analogy, and they say nirvana is like the state of deep sleep. And in the state of deep sleep, there's no suffering. Notice that also there's no suffering, but also there's no happiness. And that's the problem. This is why nirvana doesn't last too long, because there's no suffering, but there's also no happiness. And the third state is the dreaming state. In this state, the soul is conscious, but they are conscious of a different world. They're in the mental world. The soul exists, the soul is self-aware, the soul experiences things through the mind, but it's just a different world. That's all it is. It's a world within the mind, whereas the world here is the world outside the mind, but it's still experienced through the mind. So in either state, dreaming or waking, one is still only experiencing the mind. The soul is experiencing the mind. The world exists out of the mind. So we're not idealists. We believe in a world outside of the mind. But we are only experiencing the mind directly. Everything else we're experiencing indirectly. In the state of dream, we are only experiencing the mind and nothing, no external world. And then there's the 4th state, and that is the state of turiya, which is liberation. So the soul can be in only one of these 4 states, either waking, deep sleep, dreaming, or liberation. And the state of deep sleep is considered to be mode of ignorance. Then at times at night we are dreaming. And in our dream, we create so many worlds. We travel around, and we're, sometimes a king in a palace, and a prince maybe riding our white horses, and sometimes we are in Alice in Wonderland. So we're in different places in our dreaming state, daydreaming or night dreaming, When we're dreaming, we are in different worlds created by the mind. But those worlds, we call them dream worlds because they're not tangible. They're not tangible. Why? Because a dream is a dream because it is temporary. It has a beginning and an end. This is why in my dream, I may, experience it. When we're dreaming, the key point here, the very important point to recognize is that we are fully convinced that we are there. That's why dreams have effects. This is why people are screaming and shouting in their bed, because they're convinced that they're there, right? So when I'm dreaming, I'm fully convinced that I'm there. Sometimes I'm a prince riding on a white horse and someone comes and takes it all away from me. And when I wake up, I don't cry. I don't lament. Why? Because I knew it didn't have much existence, but I was experiencing it. So why I didn't feel that, that loss? Because I knew that it was going to pass anyway. It has a beginning and an end. So a dream is a truly real experience, but we call it a dream because it's temporary. In the same way, this material world, and definitely our life in this material world, is temporary. So when we know for sure it's temporary, then the Upanishads say, the Vedas say, even Christian scholars and saints say, that therefore this world is a dream. This waking state is also a dream. This whole world is a dream because it has a beginning and an end. So the dream world is a temporary world, it's the fleeting world, and we don't take it seriously because we have the waking world where we feel very convinced that this is the real world. In the same way, this material world is the dream world because it's temporary in relation to the real world, which is the spiritual world, right? So when Krishna creates these material worlds, he comes down to this world like Mahavishnu. As Mahavishnu, he lies down on that causal ocean and he enters a state of yoga nidra. And during his sleep, all these worlds emanate out of his body. Literally showing that this material world, like the Upanishads are saying, are dream worlds. Right? So again, the metaphor of the Lord's sleeping is so instructive. Because the Lord does not create the material world when he's awake. The Lord creates it when he lies down in mystic sleep, yoga nidra. And then from the pores of his body, all these universes, when he breathes out. So, so showing that this is worlds of ignorance, where the snake of time is gobbling all of us, and they're dream worlds, because it's the Lord's dream that we're participating in. And if we want to go to reality, then we have to go to Krishna's waking world, where he's awake. This world is like, just side thing. He creates it in his dream. It's temporary. It's like a dream. It's flickering. It passes away. So, this world is literally a dream world because it's Krishna's dream world that we participate in, that we are characters in this dream world. But we are real. The world is unreal. The dream world is unreal, is also real, but it's unreal in the sense that it's temporary, like a dream. And therefore it passes away. Thus, the solution is spiritual life means, the Vedas and Upanishads tell us, Uttishta, waking up. Therefore, the scriptures are always telling us that wake up. The Buddha is called the awakened one. Even, all religions just compare forgetting God to sleeping and remembering God, coming to spiritual life as awakening. Spiritual life as awakening. So they say, Tamasima Jyotirgamaya, come out of the darkness and come to the light. Jagrata, awaken. These are all, again and again, the examples. Now you might say that, this was very nice and creative, Gopal Haridas. You imagine all these wonderful things, but where is the authority for this? Where does the Bhagavatam say that this material world is a dream world? In fact, the dream is the most common metaphor used in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and as far as I can see, all of Vedic literature to compare, to describe the material world. The Srimad Bhagavatam compares the material world to a svapna or a dream over 60 times in different places. So we know there's 12 cantos, right? 12 volumes. So 60 times. That means in approximately 5 times in every canto, the Srimad Bhagavatam is telling us that this world is a dream world. Your material life is a dream life. Your, whole material existence, the material part, not the spiritual part of it, but your material, thingies. They're all dream thingies. They're all just dream things. So don't take them seriously. And as I mentioned in my Sunday class, Pedro Calderon, this Christian saint, he's written this book, Life is a Dream. And in that he says how the theme of his book is that if life is a dream, then what gain could be so great and what loss could be so big? Right? If life is a dream, then what is there to cry over? It's going to pass away anyway. Right? And so a devotee has this perspective always. They live this life with this perspective. And this is why in the Buddhist idea, also they have this idea that they die before dying. And this is also Prabhupada's definition of sannyas. Sannyas is social death. You die before dying. You realize I'm going to die, so why not die before dying? Meaning that you give up your material, if you would die, then you wouldn't have a car and a house and a big status or a big social position or a lot of respect. None of that would matter, nor would you have it. So if we're going to lose it anyway, better we develop that consciousness even before we lose it, because that's Krishna consciousness. That's the consciousness that's closest to reality. And this is why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he mentioned that the only thing auspicious in this world, people say, why is there so much suffering in this world? He says, the only thing auspicious in this world is suffering, he says. It's a very heavy statement. It takes time to digest it. But he says the only thing auspicious, in fact, for the materialist is suffering. Why? Because that suffering is waking us up to the reality. Therefore, the devotee is actually very grateful for suffering. This is why Queen Kunti asked Krishna for suffering, because they have so much faith in the Lord that this suffering is for my liberation. It's for something good. This suffering is actually my greatest benediction. So rather than constantly trying to avoid it, run away from it, the devotee sees it as an opportunity, embraces it, and moves forward. That this is a wonderful opportunity for me to go forward. And this reminds me, I see Yamuna Jivan Prabhu on the call, that this actually was a wonderful point that he made in his class on trust. Right? That the devotee has so much trust in the Lord that they can trust the Lord when the Lord gives suffering. And that awakens that person from a dream. And just last thing is that when we are asleep, we are dreaming. Then and we are screaming and shouting in our bed. Then the easiest way, the most direct way to wake up from that dream, or to solve that person's problems, that person's pain, that person's suffering, the most effective way is to shake that person, to awaken that person. And this is the mercy of a devotee. This is why the devotee and the process of Krishna consciousness, everything is there, because it's actually solving our problems from the root. It's shaking us up, reminding us, showing us our real life, our real existence. And in this way, solving the problems from the root. If someone is screaming and shouting in their bed, how do we help them? We help them wake up. And then they're happy, then they're relieved. Oh, thank God, it was a dream. In the same way, this is why Prabhupada said that Krishna consciousness is the greatest philanthropic work. Because if we realize our spiritual nature, our identity, then those problems go away naturally. They go away. And then the final question comes, well, then how do you do it? How do you wake up from this dream? And this is where, though life is a dream, final, very important point is that though life is a dream, why it's still significant. Because even though everything is insignificant, it all passes. It all passes in time. Nothing sticks to the person. The Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad says, nothing sticks to this person. It all passes. But why is it still significant? Why is human life still important? Why is this dream life still important? Because it's our activities in the dream, these temporary activities that take us out of the dream, right? That break this dream world and take us out. So how we act in this world, what is our karma, what is our, dharma, what is our, how we relate with one another, all these things are what help us wake up, because they inspire the mercy of the Lord and the devotee. And then when the mercy of the Lord and the devotees are, then they shake us and we wake up. The dream analogy is so nice. You can bring it in so many ways. Just like we say the process of Krishna consciousness, we say it has to do with our effort. But then ultimately it's the mercy of the Lord. So in the same way, in a dream, we can be better and better in our dream, but ultimately the way out is grace. Someone from outside the dream has to shake us. And when they shake us, then we wake up. In the same way, it's only ultimately the grace of the Lord and his devotees that wake us up from this material world, that can liberate us. This is why Bhagavatam says is almost, right, all that is troublesome within the heart is almost completely destroyed, because by reading Bhagavatam, because ultimately everything is completely destroyed only by the grace of Krishna. But what inspires the grace of Krishna? That is our effort, our sincerity, our activities, and that's the dream. That's our activities in the dream are significant because Krishna is watching them, and when he sees we're sincere, then those temporary activities can take us to the eternal world. Those temporary activities are very significant. And Prabhupada finally, in one quote, in one passage, he says actually that when a person is serving the Lord in this dream of life, he actually uses this word because the Bhagavatam uses it. Prabhupada naturally uses that analogy. When a person serves the Lord in this dream of life, so much so that they're serving Krishna in the dream, but also even within the dream of the dream. They're serving Krishna even within the dream of their dream, meaning they're serving so much that at night also they're dreaming of Krishna and their service to Krishna. Then Krishna breaks us out of the dream. Then we break out. So that's why even not just our service in this life, but even the service that we do while we're sleeping, while we're dreaming is so significant. The thoughts that we have, the consciousness that we have while we're sleeping is so significant because that's showing where our consciousness is. And if we're Krishna conscious during our dreams, then that means our days are also Krishna conscious because the dreams reflect our days. Okay, I'll stop here. It's 8 o'clock. If there's any, we can maybe a few minutes go over if there's any comments, corrections, please.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. Such a wonderful class as always. And this is your favorite topic, this one, dream within a dream. So I have one question. That is, in this verse, we are talking about Garbhodakashai Vishnu, because he is resting after the devastation has happened.
Yes.
So the Karnodakashai Vishnu is also resting in the Karna ocean, and Kshirodakashai Vishnu is also resting in the milk ocean. So can you just give some description of the different aspects or different time and space where these things happen? Thank you.
I may be completely wrong, probably, but I think this is referring to Karanadaksha Vishnu because all the universes are emanating from the body of Karanadaksha Vishnu. And then within each universe, when Karanakshai Vishnu enters, and that's Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So the first Vishnu is Karanakshai Vishnu, to my understanding. And then that is referring to that. And then Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and they're all ultimately the same. So Kshirodakshai Vishnu also lying down on the ocean below. But Kshirodakshai Vishnu is the Vishnu that goes within the heart. So it's the all the universes are emanating from the body of the Lord. That is, I believe, Karanakshai Vishnu.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Anything else?
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
What should be the main dream in our life?
Well, you're always dreaming of the deities. That's a wonderful dream to have. Yeah, like pujaris especially, they serve the Lord during the day, but they're also the deity worship continues at night. There's one pujari that I knew. He was in Philadelphia. He would brush his teeth before going to sleep, wear clean clothes. Because I asked him, why? He said, because then only Krishna comes in your dreams. If your mouth is not clean and all these things, and then the Lord does not come in your dreams. So probably you're dreaming of Krishna while you're sleeping at night, serving him. He would wash his clothes, be ready like he's going on the altar, because in the dream he was also going on the altar. So he has to be clean. Yes, generally what we dream at night reflects what we do during the day. Like I teach during the day, sometimes I'm teaching at night during the dream. So if someone is serving Krishna, then they'll dream of Krishna at night also. I cannot hear you.
I don't know, maybe the pure devotee, they dream the spiritual world and they dream for it and they dream it.
Yeah, well, I mean, also like I was reading Ainur Prabhu's biography, Kirtan Revolution, and in one place there's a place where the writer says that at a certain point in his spiritual life, Ainur Prabhu would sleep very less, like 3 hours a day. He would chant 116 rounds a day. So he was like, really far out, right? But he would still sleep few hours. But he was saying that he would actually look forward to going to sleep, because at that time he would be dreaming of Krishna, and that state of dreaming was almost even more relishable to him than his waking state, because he was like absorbed. And other devotees, great devotees, you notice this, like when they're sleeping, it's not normal sleep. They're very it's very transcendental sleep, because they're not in the material world, they're really in the spiritual world.
Actually, the spiritual or devotional life, everyone is having their goal, like their dream for it. Like someone is having a goal of preaching, someone is having a goal of writing books, someone is having a desire of building a temple. So they have got that dream. So dream for it, and they become successful by the blessings of Guru and Krishna.
That's nice. Yeah, that's another type of dreaming. That's really nice. Yeah.
And main dream is we have to dream all the time. Think of the spiritual world, how the spiritual world is from the Shastra. You should know in detail and meditate on that. Think of that and dream of it. So definitely, this kind of dream will help us to go to the dream world.
Yes. Yes, that's a fact.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Nice class to us.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I have one little thing more. That is the Turiya consciousness, Turiya state of consciousness. That only the Lord's consciousness is described by Turiya. can the Jiva soul go there?
My understanding, again, I could be wrong, but Turiya is the liberated consciousness. So Krishna is always in Turiya. But when we're liberated, then we enter the Turiya consciousness. So when we're conscious of the material world, or that's our only consciousness is the material world, or we are only conscious of dreaming or only of deep sleep, then we're not in Turiya. But when we are in Turiya, then we are conscious of Krishna. We're like, in the spiritual world, we're in the spiritual nature.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for your very kind attention. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.